Last Sunday, we looked back at how Taiwan went from founder to pariah in the World Health Organization. Today, we'll take a look at Taiwan's fight to get back in. In 1997, the very first Taiwanese delegation went to Geneva to request entry to the World Health Assembly.
In the 2 decades to come, activists and policymakers wielded all their powers of diplomacy, creativity and persistence, desperately trying to make Taiwan heard even when it had no seat at the table. Here's part 2 of our Sunday special report.
In March 1996, Teng-hui became Taiwan's first popularly elected president, marking a milestone in the march from authoritarianism toward democracy.
At
the time, I was head of Taipei's Department of Health. Back then, I was also Secretary General for the Foundation of Medical Professionals Alliance in Taiwan. Afterward, we began thinking we should start promoting Taiwan internationally.
In 1997, seeking the right to attend the WHO as an observer, the Foreign Ministry sent a letter to the WHO in April for the first time. It asked that the Republic of China, Taiwan, be given observer status at the World Health Assembly, and it asked the WHO to discuss the issue. Then Health Minister Zhang Boya traveled to Geneva in May. She spoke to foreign officials there about Taiwan's advancements in medicine, and she sought their support.
I really did go inside. Before the meeting, we encountered several countries' health ministers and gave them a collection of photographs. We gave that out, one book at a time. Just as they were about to start the meeting, we backed out of the meeting hall.
Aside from official representatives, there were civic groups in Geneva. They gathered outside the WHA, shouting slogans and calling for support.
We got there. The first time around, we held up those banners and called for Taiwan's inclusion in the WHO. Later, we knew that they wouldn't let us in. We went down to the lakeside and marched on the streets. That's where we demonstrated.
Taiwan's appeal had not been on the agenda at the meeting, but ally nation Nicaragua spoke up, requesting a supplemental topic of discussion. Throughout the heated 2-hour discussion that ensued, Chinese representatives insisted on its One China principle. The meeting ended with a vote of 128 to 19 against Taiwan's inclusion, with 5 members abstaining from voting. In that first year of appealing to the WHO, Taiwan declared defeat, returning home unsuccessful. At the end of 1997, an enterovirus epidemic struck Southeast Asia and left Taiwan reeling. At Taiwan's hospitals, new cases were reported almost daily, and the number of infant mortality cases also rose sharply.
At the
time, we were unable to test for the virus. We didn't know what it was. In the end, it was the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that came to help us and told us that this was enterovirus. But the WHO, at the time of the outbreak in Southeast Asia, notified its member countries of what to look out for. For example, they say it was a hand, foot, and mouth disease, explained what symptoms it would bring and how it was transmitted. They provided some basic preventative guidance. We didn't have any sort of notification, and we hadn't faced the disease before.
As Taiwan is not a WHO member country, when it faces a new form of infectious disease, it must fight it on its own. For secondhand information from the WHO, it mostly relies on the US. In 1988, the enterovirus wreaked havoc in Taiwan, infecting an estimated 1.4 million children nationwide, 405 serious infections, and the deaths of 78 children. In a bid to access the latest information needed to respond to health crises, Taiwan began annually petitioning the WHO. The result was an extreme backlash from China.
The Chinese government resolutely opposes the Taiwanese authorities using health and sanitation as a pretext for engaging in political activities aimed at splitting the motherland. In regard to this issue, there is no possibility of us yielding in any way.
In May 2000, after Chen Shui-bian assumed presidency, there was a change in the nation's foreign policy. In 2001, the government applied to join the WHO as an observer under the name Taiwan ROC. In 2003, it tried applying under the name Taiwan Health Authority and was again unsuccessful.
总统有自己的领土，有自己的这个人民，为什么不能去呢？
Nobody can figure it out. Taiwan has its own president, its own territory, its own population. Why can't it attend the WHA? It's because every year China is at the WHO saying we are a part of them. They say they take good care of our public health. We feel this is completely ridiculous because we have never been under the People's Republic of China's rule for even a day.
In 2003, the nightmare returned. A disease known as SARS broke out in China, and with no precautions in place, Taiwan was among those worst hit by the pandemic.
无疑在2003年的世界卫生大会的谈话。
At the WHA meeting in 2003, Wu Yi said China was already providing appropriate care for the health of Taiwanese. It was an obvious lie. Who would want to be a part of China when it tells this sort of lie? But it kept lying to the world, claiming that Taiwan had been invited to meetings in Beijing.
On March 14, 2003, Taiwan, of its own volition, reported its first SARS cases to the WHO in the hope of receiving assistance. It was met with refusal and was told to get it from Beijing. At the 2003 WHA meeting, the U.S. expressed for the first time that it supports Taiwan's inclusion in the WHO. A heated debate ensued between U.S. and China representatives.
I wish to sternly point out that inviting Taiwan to participate in the WHO is inconsistent with the law, logically intolerable, and unsuitable for the situation.
You heard my speech, you know how I feel, and I think there should be an observer status of Taiwan, and that's always been my position.
Didn't you hear the Assembly's decision? Who cares about you people?
Excluded from the WHO, Taiwan became an orphan in the fight against SARS. In Taiwan, 346 people fell ill from the disease. 73 people died.
After China's epidemic spread to the world, Taiwan became a gaping hole in the global disease prevention network. It was then that earnest discussion began over whether Taiwan should be allowed to participate.
Admission of new members and associate members.
Yes. Madagascar? Yes. Malawi? No.
In the international community, Taiwan's appeal for inclusion picked up traction. In 2004, the WHA held its second vote on the issue. Taiwan's bid lost in a vote of 25 to 133. But notably, the US and Japan acted on Taiwan's behalf for the first time, openly voting in its favor. For many years, Taiwan spoke up on the issue in international circles. Its voice was taken seriously, thereby increasing the pressure on the WHO. In 2005, the UN Secretariat and China privately signed a memorandum of understanding.
WHO 跟中国签订了一个秘密协定。
The WHO signed an MOU with China, allowing the WHO to invite Taiwan, but only under the One China principle, which sees Taiwan as part of China. If Taiwan were to be invited, it would need to first be approved by China.
Overlooked by the world, Taiwan struggled to make diplomatic breakthroughs. In 2006, Taiwan's appeal to the WHO was shut down as in the past, and China upped its offensive, installing its people in important official positions.
Insofar as the policy matter is concerned, meaning the One China policy, it is the prerogative of the member states of WHO. As Director General, I would implement policies decided by the member states.
During its rise over the past 20-odd years, China planted a large number of Chinese in international organizations. It did that with many official positions, not just those in the WHO.
In 2007, in a statement about its sovereignty, Taiwan used the abbreviated title Taiwan to formally apply for WHO membership. The issue was voted on for the third time. As expected, it met with failure. It was not until 2008 when Ma Ying-jeou assumed presidency that things took a turn. In 2009, under the title Chinese Taipei, Taiwan was invited to the WHO as an observer. That year, Health Minister Ye Jingchuan attended as Taiwan's representative and had the chance to deliver an address.
Participation of Chinese Taipei is not only for the benefit of the 23 million people in Taiwan.
Unexpectedly, while going to dinner that evening, Ye faced off with Taiwanese students who heckled him over the name Taiwan was using at the event.
We got caught up over the name. If we had used the Republic of China, then China would have objected. Foreign affairs officials had gone over there to discuss what name to use. In the end, they decided to go with the name Taiwan uses at the Olympics, Chinese Taipei.
马英九上去，那终于可以去了。
After Ma Ying-jeou took office, we were finally able to attend. But actually, we were also very much against it because it meant trading away our sovereignty. Of course, we also gave $5 million as our contribution to the WHO. If you want a seat at the table, you have to strike a balance. Do you want to save face or do you want substance? It's not possible for you to both save face and get substance. That's called total victory. In diplomacy, there is no such thing. No deal is that sweet.
Between 2009 and 2016, during the administration of former President Ma, Taiwan attended the WHA as an observer each May. And just like clockwork, Taiwan's two major parties clashed over the matter of the nation's title every year. At the end of January 2016, Taiwan's first female president, Tsai Ing-wen, won victory at the polls. That year, the WHA sent Taiwan an invitation full of provisos at the last possible minute.
他们的意思非常清楚。
Their meaning was very clear. The first day of the May 2016 meeting fell before Tsai's inauguration. Ma Ying-jeou was still president. What China was saying was, your government that acknowledges the 1992 consensus is still in office, so I'll let you have an invitation.
我们在23号的中午
At noon on the 23rd of May 2016, we formally issued a letter of protest to the WHO through legal counsel. I handled it myself.
But Taiwan's letter of protest may as well have been thrown into the sea. From 2017 onward, under strong pressure from China, Taiwan has not received a single letter of invitation to the WHA. At least for the foreseeable future, the door to the WHO was firmly shut.